This person's dream is to be given by God a superpower or spiritual gift.
That would be awesome.
Yes, it would. Which God would allow this person to use both for God's purposes and their own whims without breaking his law. Is there anyone in the Bible who ever had that freedom given to them?
Yes, Samson. It didn't go well. Here's the funny things about it is a couple things that we need to spin on the side. First of all, I would love to have a superpower, and it's invisibility. All right, that's not the point.
You wrote the question.
The point, I know. I did not write that question, although I do like that question. Here's the thing. Would it be cool to have an extreme spiritual gift where you can bring blessing to other people and that you can utilize? And the reason why I think that they would say I want to use it based on whimsy is the idea that I can trust that it's there. I can utilize it when I need to utilize it, as opposed to going, I sure hope it's going to be there. That unsettledness is very uncomfortable. I understand the heart of why you're asking the question. Unfortunately, the way you phrased it makes it sound a little bit creepy, because it makes it sound like, hey, how can I get a gift from God and make money off of it? That sounded a little weird. I don't think that's how you intended it. But here's the problem. Here's the flip side of gifting. I worked on, for many years, I've worked on a fiction book, all right? And one of the fiction books that I've written on was the idea of extreme spiritual gifting and having a team assembled together. It's very X-Men-ish. It's very Heroes, if you ever remember that show. I remember when the Heroes came out, I'm like, they're ripping me off, dude. Anyway, I never finished the book, so they're not ripping me off. But in there, I had all the gifts mixed up with the other side of it. For example, the gentleman that had the gift of healing is in a wheelchair. Why? Because that tends to be the way that God rolls things, is that he can't heal himself, he can only heal other people. I also had the man who could do miracles, his whole life was ruined because people sought him out to heal their children, but he ultimately wasn't in control of his gift. And so children would die, and then he was demonized because you said you could do that. And he said, I didn't say I could do that. God gave me a gift, and sometimes God says yes, and sometimes God says no. Well, ultimately, he's hunted down all the time for people wanting something from him. So my point in saying all this is I'm not quite sure it's as cool as you think it is. Once somebody knows that you have a gift, they're going to go to you with their greatest desperation. And what if the Holy Spirit says we're not doing that? How are you going to feel about that? You have the gift of healing, and their child died in your arms. You all right with that? Because all their hopes are on you. And guess what? That's not where they need to be. So when we talk about these things, we have to look at the other side of it. Would it be cool? It's only cool really in the movies. The other stuff, do I want the gift of healing? Yes, I do want the gift of healing. As much as it's terrible in how it's going to ultimately probably make me feel, there are people that are hurting in this congregation that I would love to heal. That's the only reason why I want to do it. Not for me, not for anything else. It would probably screw up my life, to be honest with you. So, do I pray about it? I do. Has he given it to me? Nope. Sure hasn't. So.
Well, we talk about that with the worship and healing night approaching and the 40-day fasting. And I remember last year when you put the city message out asking people if they had the gift of healing to come forward. And we talked about how few of those people were really comfortable with coming forward and expressing that gift simply for that very reason. Yes. It's a very uncomfortable thing. You're not in control. God is. And so.
Just because you have a gift does not mean it's a lock.
Right.
Think about the idea. I have the gift of preaching and teaching. Does that mean all my sermons actually transform people's character? It actually doesn't. I have no control over that. That's the Holy Spirit's power. And he picks and chooses when he does that. Right. He can let me fall flat in 2 seconds. Just because I have the gift doesn't mean that it has ultimate impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. So last month you talked about Romans 6